My name is Jose Quintero, and before we start this week's episode, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at Échale Podcast. All right, let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Échale Podcast. My name's Jose Quintero, and today I'm very excited because this is a brand new setup that we're doing here, and I'm with a really good friend, and I'm glad I'm trying this out with you because if I mess up, then this is totally,
okay.
Yeah, it's going to be okay, right? So I have Mitzi Days with us because that's what your Instagram handle is.
Right.
¿Cómo estás?
Good, and you?
Are you nervous?
I am.
She's
I'm
a
not
little...
gonna lie, I'm nervous.
Well, I mean, let's not make it nervous because we're just going to have like a plática, una de esas pláticas que no hemos tenido en mucho tiempo because you and I used to have like these long conversations, and I think that is what allowed us to become close. But we're going to go ahead and in this episode talk about motherhood, talk about your journey towards postpartum depression. If I'm not mistaken, your daughter's also a premature baby?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to get into that just because a lot of people have requested that we talk about this. A lot of women listen to this podcast. Gracias a todas las que nos escuchan. So I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity to bring you on to the podcast. But let's go ahead and take it back to our college days because that's when we met.
Yeah.
¿Qué es el primer recuerdo que tienes tú de mí?
Well, the first thing that I remember would be graduation. I think it was your graduation. It was for Latino grad.
You already had graduated, right?
Yes, I've already graduated, but I knew who you were because we hung out with the same friends. And I remember at that Latino graduation, you were the main speaker, right?
I was the keynote speaker.
I was like, who is this guy? Who does he think he is? But when I heard you speak, I was like, oh, okay, this guy has a voice and he knows how to speak. Because if you tell me to go up there, I'd be like, se me olvida todo.
But tell everybody, how many people were there?
Thousands of people. It was for Latino graduation. Latino graduation is pretty big.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people.
Sí, nomás para que la gente sepa. Porque si nomás estamos hablando de 30, 40 personas.
No, there was a lot of people, thousands of people there. And I remember I told you, I'm like, oh, I think you're going to make it to, make it far and make it, work in certain places. And you did. So I guess I'm always like so happy to see you succeed.
Thank you. You want to know something funny about that graduation? It was the first time that I was going to be speaking in front of that many people. And I specifically put myself there porque I've never done it. And it was never really done before where a student... I was presenting a scholarship, so it was like a 5-minute presentation. So they had the keynote speaker too. Y después yo me les colé y dije, oye, queremos regalar una scholarship on behalf of my fraternity to somebody there. Can I do it? And because I was working with the president of Elves at the time, he's like, yeah, go for it. So it wasn't even in the program. And I was like very pushy.
You went for it, yeah.
Yeah, I went for it porque dije, this is going to be my opportunity to show everybody que a lo mejor no me ha visto, no me ha escuchado, that even though I'm nervous, I'm going to do it.
I wouldn't have known that you were nervous because it just seems so natural to you.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, wow, like he knows how to speak. Like he knows how to be up in front of everybody because how I said, I wouldn't be able to, but it's in you.
Gracias. And then funny enough, like as you were saying, you were one of the first people that said, you're going to make it to Univision. You're going to be able to work there. And you were one of the first persons to see that struggle. Porque me acuerdo that I was applying to Univision. They kept denying me. I had already volunteered for 2 years. I was getting denied, rejected. I applied to the sales. I
applied to everything.
Yeah, I think I applied as a janitor.
Oh, really? You're just like, I'm going to get my foot in the door and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, and I'm like, and if they let me in, I'll be like, hey, can I me hago amigos y así hacemos plática. But obviously, it wasn't my time. Everything happens for a reason. And I think after 2 years, you and I and another friend, Edith, we decided, well, I think it was you. You were like, let's take a Euro trip.
Yes, I was wanting to do it. And I'm like, okay, I'm at a time. I was 25 and a lot of things were not going the way that I wanted to.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I kind of felt like I just needed to kind of leave and I don't want to say find myself, but I just like, I needed to do something for myself. Right. So I was like, let's do it. And I guess we always kind of say, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but we never do it. But that was like such a big dream of mine. And I felt like I haven't reached a lot of the goals at that time. That I'm like, I know I could do this, so I'm going to do it.
I was gonna say, what was troubling you at that time?
Well, at the time, I was turning 25, quarter life crisis, and I also felt, I guess, some type of way because I was supposed to be graduating with my master's degree, and I didn't finish my master's because I felt that social work was not for me.
Yeah.
So stopping that and then noticing like I should have been graduating and things were not going the right way, work, life in general, I just kind of felt like if nothing's going right, let me at least make this trip a reality. And then that's when me and Edith were like, hey, let's do it. And we booked it without even telling anybody.
Wow. And then what made you guys want to invite me? Because me and you knew each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was closer with Edith, but then y'all decided to invite me and I was going through a lot as well. Pero nadie sabía tampoco.
No. And it's funny because at that time, well, I just thought it was like, okay, it's me and Edith. And I didn't even tell my now husband, my boyfriend at the time, that I was going to take the trip. I just booked it with Edith.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, by the way, me and Edith are going to go to Europe. And then Edith's like, hey, I think I'm going to invite Jose. I'm like, how am I going to tell my boyfriend that?
We're inviting another man.
That it's a guy that he has never met. But at the end, it worked out. And he was okay about it afterwards, but at first he's like, a guy is going and you don't want me to go?
I didn't know that. Shout out to EF College Trip, by the way. That's who we booked with. We definitely had a pleasant trip, but I didn't know that. So your husband was like hesitant, like, ya se está poniendo un poquito celosito or mad?
I guess it was just like, you didn't invite me, but now some guy is going.
Got you.
But I was like, no, trust me. Like, I know Jose. It's not like, we're friends for sure. Right. And he, luckily he trusted me, and that's what I really care and love about him, is that we have that trust.
He was a confident man. For all the non-confident men out there que son inseguros de sí mismos. Like, it's okay if you want to travel with friends. And obviously, I think it was, even though we went with the EF college program, it was people who were recently graduated for the most part, or like just a couple of years. I don't know, like it never occurred to you or Edith, like, oh yeah, we're going to another country that we don't know as women.
Yeah, and that's why we went with the college tour, or else we would have gone by ourselves. But we're like, we're gonna go to Paris. We don't speak French.
Bonjour, yeah.
And we're going to Italy. We don't speak Italian. Like, so I felt it was a good part to still travel, but travel safely with people that there's more people our age, and also we have a tour guide that speaks the language.
Let's go ahead and now talk about the experience going. First of all, getting there was a whole experience. Do you remember? Because
yes,
I remember this was end of June going towards July. Yeah. I will always remember because it was like, all right, the 4th of July. I was I don't know if I was working. Well, I think I took a break and anything. I got to your parents' house.
Yes.
And that's where I officially met your boyfriend, or now husband at the time.
Yeah.
And he drove us to LA.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we met Edith over there.
Met Edith and her family.
And we were like, we're finally doing this.
Yeah. It was like, okay, I'm accomplishing a goal, a dream of mine of traveling here.
Did you ever study abroad, by the way?
No.
Okay.
And
so
that's
why neither did I.
I was like, why didn't I do it? And of course, finances, and I think that's like the biggest part. But I had like jitters. I was so excited that I'm finally going to some place where I would read and in books, and finally going. It was amazing.
We ended up traveling. Did we do a layover in Texas?
No, we did.
No, direct
North Carolina.
North Carolina, and there was a blizzard, and I remember. Or something, hurricane or something like that.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to fly at a certain time, but then I guess our flight was delayed. How many hours?
24 hours.
You're lying. No, it wasn't 24 hours. I would have said, let's
I feel like
leave.
It seemed like it was 24 hours.
But we stayed in the airport, and I know we had to sleep in the airport, and that was hella annoying. It was really annoying, but then we ended up going to Heathrow. London was our first stop.
New York.
Oh, wait, we ended up going to New York?
We were supposed to go straight to New York, but because the hurricane was passing, we weren't allowed to go in there, and we were running out of gas. So they told us we have to do the stop in North Carolina. Then we were
Oh.
supposed to go. It was just going to be a 2-hour stop and then go to New York.
Oh, and then
And that's
go.
what happened. It was worse than what they expected.
Got you. But then from North Carolina, did we go to New
New
York?
York and
Oh,
then
we
New York
did?
to London. Mm-hmm.
No manches. Se me
Yeah,
había
¿se te
olvidado.
olvidó?
Yeah, the,
No,
the
I
New
did
York.
not forget
We
that.
did 2 layovers, but then Heathrow, yeah, and that was an 11-hour flight. And I mean, for anybody who's Latino and probably just went to Mexico or El Salvador, Costa Rica, even Argentina, like a 5-hour flight was a lot for
Yeah.
me, even though I had already gone to New York, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But then add in a 9-hour or 11-hour, no sé.
Something like that.
Yeah.
In between.
O sea, cruzar el charquito, que es un charcote. It was like, oh my gosh. But those airplanes are beautiful. They fed us. I remember as soon as we got onto the airplane, leaving to Heathrow, one of the aeromosas, the flight attendants, was like, hello, would you like some water? And I was like,
Yes, whatever you said, yes. I'm
yes,
kidding.
talk to me. Keep on talking. And I'm like, I'm going to keep pressing the button, like, because this is so new to me. You hear different types of accents in America. But in California, you hardly ever hear an English accent.
Right.
So I was like, ¿qué te pareció Londres?
I liked it, and unfortunately, we didn't have that much time there because of the layover, and we missed the full day. But it made me want to go back to London. So hopefully, in the future, that's something I would want to do.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. But I
Yeah.
feel like once we got into the trip, like Paris,
Yeah.
and then Italy, I
Yeah.
think that's like the highlight of the trip.
Yeah, we definitely were running low on sleep, and the first thing we wanted to see was Buckingham Palace and the Louvre. I remember the Louvre. I mean, I had no
Paris,
idea. Oh, that was in Paris. Duh. But we went to London Bridge is falling down, that place, and then the other tower. No, the other bridge. London Bridge, right?
Well, there's a tower of
The
ya ni
London.
sé.
Donde
We
pisamos.
failed history, but we went to
I know,
London.
but
I'm
donde
kidding.
pisamos, and it was like glass.
Oh, that's the bridge.
It's
London
blue.
Bridge?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
blue.
ya ni sé.
But it also
It was
felt like
beautiful.
it was beautiful, but it also felt like in LA, just with castles.
Right.
That was also interesting. Y después de ahí nos fuimos a Paris. Yes, Paris. And I know you were really excited. Were you more excited about Paris or Rome?
At the time, I was really excited about Paris, and that was just because of like the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre and just the amazing this, and then fashion, of course, with Paris.
I really
So
didn't care.
So I remember crying when I saw the Eiffel Tower.
Uh-huh.
And I think that was just like a big thing for me where I'm like, wow, I was able to do this and go for it. And I kind of felt like I was able to go for certain things after that. Like
Yeah.
that really pumped me up.
Yeah,
able to do
I
that.
really did enjoy Paris, and especially because we were there for the Euro Cup.
Yes.
Yeah, so the Euro Cup where France, I think, ended up winning, if I'm not mistaken. One of those things. But I remember las calles estaban llenas, and we were like, what do we do? And then, obviously, it wasn't what I was expecting in terms of, like, the subway system. Like, it smelled. I was like, whoa. But other than that,
You enjoyed it.
I enjoyed
and
it.
you got in trouble too because we were late.
We got in trouble?
Yeah.
Why?
¿Te acuerdas?
No me acuerdo.
Yeah, we were going to the Louvre and we got there a little late. And you know how our tour guide was very like, you guys have to be here on time.
Yeah.
And we were like 5 minutes late. And yeah, he got a little upset. But
Oh,
it's otra
okay.
cosa.
Well, I mean, do you still have the little casita he gave us?
Yes.
Okay, I still have it too.
I have that in a box.
Okay.
I have that in a box, all the places I've been to.
Same. What do I remember from Paris? Aside from the Louvre, I hated seeing the Mona Lisa. I was upset.
Yeah. That was just like, oh,
Yeah.
look at that picture.
Like, I
That's
know.
cute.
I'm like, that's cute. All right, let's go see other, because the
Yeah.
Louvre has a way
It's
more.
beautiful. It's huge.
And
It's
then
like,
outside the Louvre, when we were just did a
We-
picnic.
yeah, we just sat there and just like soaked everything in, and it was nice.
But I think the highlight, I would have to say, London was great. Mind the Gap. and whatnot. Remember?
Yeah.
So
Mind the gap.
mind the gap. So there's the subway system for
Mhm.
anybody who's never been to London. And before you get on the metro system or subway system, whatever, it always says mind the gap because it's um I guess it's a warning because a lot of
Mhm.
people have slipped through that little gap
Right.
and have died because obviously the train now moves. So
Mhm.
it's like a warning, mind the gap.
Yeah.
You know, like cuidado, no seas güey.
But throughout the whole trip, we're like, mind the gap.
Yeah. And but my favorite part was Rome. I
Mhm.
think that was my highlight because London was very LA like. Paris, I loved the Gothic
Mhm.
churches. I remember nos confesamos.
Yeah. At Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before it burnt,
Before it
everybody.
burnt, yeah.
Before it burnt.
And
Then
por
it
eso.
burnt.
No, I'm just kidding.
Y por eso se quemó. I'm just
All
kidding.
the sins that we said.
I know.
No.
But that was cool. But no, Rome was definitely my favorite because
Mhm.
I was excited to see the architecture. I was excited about Greek mythology. And then what did we do once we got to the Colosseum?
Oh my gosh. I totally forgot what the
What?
phrase.
The
Right? Didn't you say like the phrase?
what? Oh wait, which phrase? Which phrase?
From the Gladiator?
Oh, the gladiator. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Yeah, obviously, because, well, I like how you went to that movie reference. I was referencing Hillary Duff.
Oh, Hillary Duff. Okay.
Lizzie
I
McGuire.
was like, if I'm thinking about you're thinking, I'll be like, okay, then you're thinking of, I'm thinking about Hillary Duff because that
Oh,
was
okay.
the entire trip
Yes.
in Rome.
Yeah.
I was just,
I honestly thought because
quoting
we
Lizzie
were
McGuire.
quoting. Yeah. We were quoting Lizzie McGuire because obviously, if you haven't seen the Lizzie McGuire movie, she sings inside the Coliseum, right?
Inside the Coliseum.
I thought that was a thing. I was like, how did they even put a stage here?
It's fake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I realized
Yeah.
that. But being able, I remember there was a time where we had like about 6 hours and we just grabbed ice cream. And then there was somebody singing like with their guitar.
guitar,
We were
yeah.
like in the middle of La Plaza, se puede decir. And you and Edith were like, sing to me, Pietro. Or Pablo. Paulo. I was like, Pietro. Close enough. Something with that
Starts
P.
with the P.
But definitely the architecture there. We went to Florence, and I think you were excited.
Oh, I love Florence.
Yeah, that was also beautiful. Didn't we go? What store did we go to? Like the Louis Vuittons?
Oh no, I bought a Gucci.
A Gucci.
Or no, Prada. It was Prada.
Prada, glasses.
Prada glasses.
Yeah. Dang, do you still have those?
I do. I still have them.
The product glasses. Oh man, but that was definitely a fun trip, and it was one of the most memorable. So thank you guys for inviting me. I had a lot of fun.
And that was when you got some news about a specific job that you didn't get, right? And we
That
were
is
and we were
true.
very, we were all dealing with something at that time
That is
that's
true.
why we kind of connected even more.
Yeah, I forgot what Edith was going through. She was probably going through something. But
I think we were all going through something. Yeah.
but I remember I had made it to like the top two at a Univision job, and it was for sales position. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Rome, et cetera, et cetera. And if they don't want me, whatever.
Yeah.
And then once I got the email, I remember you and Edith were there, and I'm like, they emailed me. They emailed me about the job. I don't want to open it. And you guys were like, open it. And I opened it, and it said, unfortunately, we had to go with another candidate. And it was just devastating. But I think because of that moment, I ended up starting my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And that's literally what has started this whole process of communicating and sharing stories.
Yeah.
So you guys were there at the Raiz, and I remember I told you guys, I was like, if they don't want me, I'm gonna just figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
And I mean, lo and behold, Échale YouTube started, and now it's Échale Podcast with a video component, of course.
And I feel like at that time, we were going through our different, stages in life and wanting to go into certain careers that now we are all in the careers that we wanted to be.
I know. It's beautiful if you just keep on persevering, like what time does. Like, sigue adelante y sigue luchando y con el tiempo te vas a dar cuenta, like if you look at it from a bigger picture, like, oh, wow, you were always going the right path. You probably didn't know which way was left or right. But as long as you kept going, you eventually got to where, or we both got
Yeah.
to where we wanted to be. And even Edith,
Yeah.
finished law school.
Finished law school. Yeah.
I'm so happy to see her also succeed and thrive. I think after that trip, it definitely connected us and it made us more unidos, but to be involved in each other's lives. Then I don't know how soon after you got married. This was 2016. Yeah.
Then he proposed April of 2017.
I got the job at Univision June 2017.
And then I got married in 2018. So it's going to be 5 years.
Wow, 5 years. Oh my gosh. And I remember your wedding was beautiful, first of all. I was all like, no manches. Esto parece como que una novela. O sea, literally. It was like the center.
Porque estaba vestido de charro, por eso.
Bueno, estaba vestido de charro. I remember I was like at the church. You guys got married in the LA church.
At the cathedral.
Ay, perdón. Perdón. No es ninguna capillita.
No, it's a cathedral.
It's a cathedral. But I was just like, wow, you guys looked beautiful, both of you. And then when you got to the party, I think one of the things, no me he casado, pero el día que me case, I'm definitely going to do seating arrangements.
Oh, yeah.
You had a whole, how many invitations did you send?
Okay, so we had 500 guests to be at the wedding.
Sí.
So
Para que hagan las calculations for anybody who's getting married, how much that probably cost.
Yeah. So I did, seating for 500 people, and I did that with my cousin Erica.
Yeah. And I remember I was like, what table are we? And literally, desde ese momento, every wedding that I've gone to, and I'm like, seating charts, because then you just see people grabbing.
Yeah. And I've been in situations like that where, you arrive maybe a little bit later and then you have to be, separated from your family.
Or friends.
So it's kind of like, for me, I really put a lot of thought into where I'm going to be seating people, who I'm going to be seating them with, because I want them to feel comfortable. So I set all of my friends together.
Yeah. I know. At first I was like, where am I sitting? I'm like, okay, I'm sitting with Edith. I know that. Yeah. And then when I started seeing the people, I was like, oh my gosh, we see SUSB. So it definitely helps. So I'm going to definitely steal that, even though I'm sure it's probably been done multiple times. Did you know you wanted to become a mom right away, or did you guys want to give some time?
I wanted to give it some time.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Just because when we never lived together before getting married.
So did you not know if it was going to work out?
No. I knew, I feel like if you're going into marriage, it's like you really want that person. It's not like, oh, I better see. No. It's like you're getting married for a reason, especially if you're getting married under the church, right? I'm very traditional in that sense, right? So...
did he ever want to live with you before?
No.
También bien tradicional.
Very traditional. Y pienso es porque los padres que tenemos, they were very try to do it, the right way for them, right? Because, everybody does things differently. But I kind of felt there was times where I'm like, oh, we should just, just live together. There's nothing bad about that. But I think I have a better appreciation for it.
Got you. And I mean, for those people who don't know Maritza and then her husband, you guys actually have known each other almost since birth.
Yeah.
Which is funny, weird, and also kind of awesome. Porque your families all knew each other. ¿Son del mismo pueblo o no?
Los pueblos son like right next to each other. So it's called Carreras Durango, and then Presidios Durango. So they're like 5 minutes away from each other. So my parents grew up knowing Asael's parents. And
did they, as parents, nunca le preguntaste a tu mamá like, oye, yo ya te había apartado para Asael desde chiquita?
No, but his mom would, every time I would see his mom, because I would see them at weddings or quinceañeras or parties from the family, and the mom would tell me, oh, la quiero para like for us, like no, I don't know.
Para nuera.
Para nuera. Jeez, I'm like, what's the word? And I was like, no, just kind of make like, why, don't tell me that. Like, I don't think, I thought Asael was cute, but de ahí and that's it, right? Because I felt like, I don't want to date anybody that I knew from like the Pueblo and things like that, just because people will know. And then it's just like everybody's going to be in like your business. So I
Uh-huh.
just kind of was like, no. I just,
Te hiciste la de rogar, but did he also want, like, or was he also like hesitant? O nunca le has preguntado, oye.
ah,
He's like, no, yo no me veo con ella.
you know
Because
what? I
somebody had to make
never,
the first move.
he made the first move.
Of course. You're
Yeah.
just super traditional, Maritza.
Yeah. Well, not that I think, well, the thing is, because we came out in a wedding and he saw a picture of me from the Bachelorette and I was going crazy. I was like, woo, and then he's like, ooh,
Muchacha del mundo.
no, está bonita, no sé qué, right? And he asked, like, hey, can I come out with her in the wedding? But we didn't come out together in the wedding. He wasn't like my the partner.
Yeah.
So
Debe decir tu
during
chambelán.
that's the quinceañera.
Yeah.
But I guess he kept an eye on me, and I knew him because, of course, we grew up kind of together.
But you hardly ever had a conversation.
No, it was just like, oh, that's Asael. Es el hijo de,
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't until then, and he came up to my cousin, asked her to dance, and it was just, one song, and then he asked my other cousin to dance. So I was thinking like, oh, he's gonna go, he's gonna come up to me. He did, and I was just like,
Okay.
I didn't think anything of it because
ya había sacado las otras dos
primas. And then he took me out to dance, and I told him,
yo no soy así.
and like, don't spin me, because I'm Mexican, but I didn't grow up going to bailes. The only times I would dance to like banda would be at the quinceañeras, the family parties, but never really like,
What's that place in Rialto? Like you never went?
No.
It cerró. It was right next to
Yeah.
Culichi town.
Yeah, no.
It was like a banda place.
Yeah, I never went.
No.
Never went. So, but I love banda.
Yeah, I know. But you don't really dance it?
No. And it was so I told him like, hey, don't spin me porque no sé cómo bailar.
Ese güey es charro.
Yeah, and he loves to dance. I would always see him like, oh, he danced so nice. Y luego como me saca a bailar, I'm like, a la madre, no sé cómo bailar tan bien como él. And I was like, hey, don't spin me. So he thought like I didn't want to dance with him. I was like, no, I wanted to dance with you. I just, pues no sabía cómo bailar tan bien como él. And after that, we just kind of kept in touch. But it took like 3 months to actually go on a date.
Entonces sí te hiciste la de rogar. Qué bueno.
Los dos.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, you guys ended up married, and you decided to give it a pause on, starting a family porque se querían disfrutar. Was he okay with that?
Did
he also?
It was very like, well, it's up to you. So I always felt comfortable in telling him like, okay, well, I want to wait. And we did talk about that before getting married. I was like, let's try at least a year, just us two together and enjoy, which was great. Like we had a great time. We went to Cancun. We went back to Italy.
I saw that.
And
dije, no me invitaron esta vez.
I'm sorry.
Just kidding.
Yeah, so we traveled after that.
When it came time to conceive, was it difficult? Because one thing that I'm noticing, y no sé qué sea, y a lo mejor you have more insight on it, and maybe because it wasn't in our radar, of course, where people are trying to have kids and that you're just like, well,
you're trying not to. No, that you're trying not to have kids.
Well, no. But obviously in college, nobody's trying to have kids. Well, that we knew. No. So we just saw everybody was having kids, like los tías, like, mira, it's having kids. But then when we get older and then as our friends start trying to conceive kids, then you hear these stories like, it's difficult, or we're going to need help from a doctor, or tengo esto en la matriz, and you're just like, whoa, has this always been the norm, or is it just like a generational thing that it's happening more recently?
I think it's been happening, and to be fairly honest, because I want to be really honest here, before getting engaged and all that stuff, I was going through a lot of health issues for, women's reproductive, a lot of fibroids. I had a lot of issues with ovarian cysts. So one of the doctors told me at age, like, I think it was 26, she told me, maybe you should start thinking about having children soon.
Wow.
Because, it seemed, you're having a lot of issues. And
you weren't even engaged, huh?
I wasn't engaged yet. And At that time, I was kind of okay because I'm like, okay, I don't know if I want to have kids, to be honest. But I guess down there, like I was still like I really wanted to, and like deep
Mm-hmm.
down inside, right? But I even told him I was like, hey, Asa, um, I don't know if I'm might be able to have kids. This is what the doctor is telling me, and
Wow.
I told him like, if you want to leave, you can, and I won't judge you for leaving me
Mm.
because some people that's like a make or break thing for them, and I didn't want to hide it from him, and also didn't want to take that away from him if that's something that he wanted to have
To become
kids.
a
So
father.
I told him, and he's like, "Well, let's try it. We should just get married." I'm like, I don't also want to get married just to have kids.
Mm.
If I want to get married, it's because I want to marry you.
Mm.
Um, so it's up to you. And I know he talked to his mom about it, and
Wow.
he was very open. Just
That's
he told me
awesome.
about his feelings about it, but he's like, you know what? If it doesn't work out, then we could adopt if that's something that you're willing to do. So we already had that conversation prior to getting married.
Got it.
And then that's why, you should never plan certain things. And I learned that the hard way because we're like, oh, we're going to try after a year being married.
Mm.
Well, we're like, okay, we're going to try now. And it took us like 8 months
So
to
after
conceive.
the year. So
After the year.
so a year and 8 months after you married.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting, and I love the fact that you say these are the conversations that you already had
Mm-hmm.
with him prior to getting married, because so many women and even men are scared to have this conversation with their significant other,
Yeah.
or they're even scared to be like, "Hey, let's go get tested to see, make sure everything
Mm-hmm.
is okay," and then also make the decisions because I think as Latinos, sometimes we get stuck in the like, I don't want to know, but what if I'm the problem?
Yeah.
Like, I know I have a friend who, basically they said his sperm count was low, but the machista in him was like, no, it's not me.
Mm.
Like, it's not me. And it's like, well, the doctor says, because they
If,
weren't able to get pregnant.
yeah.
And it was like, well, she's fine. But they tested him and he was just kind of in denial.
Mm.
And it's like, well, but at least now you know,
Yeah.
and whatnot. But then he never wanted to continue getting the treatment, et cetera, et cetera. Y bueno, that is a whole different story.
Mm-hmm.
So after the year you guys started planning, when did you start noticing a little bit of the difficulties?
I was very
Like, how does one
disappointed.
plan for a baby
Well, for
like,
us, it's like, okay, we're trying to not have babies, so we try to take our measures to
yeah.
not have a baby because I
Uh-huh.
did not want to, not yet. And I told him because he told me whenever you're ready, you just let me know. So I told him like, you know what, I think I'm ready
Was like the
to have
moon
one.
full or something? Like, what made you say like one
Um,
day, I think I'm ready to have a
I don't know.
child?
You just feel it.
Oh, okay.
You just I can't explain it. I'm like, okay,
Or
well,
is
I
it
have a
because your sister
job.
was already pregnant?
No,
Did that
we didn't know.
influence?
We didn't know at the time that she was already
Oh,
pregnant.
because again,
Hmm.
sharing information.
Yeah,
Your sister, your younger
that's a
sister
younger sister.
is oh my God, her daughter is just 5 months
5 months.
older than your daughter.
Yeah.
So okay, so you guys didn't know at the time that she was
Mm-hmm.
already pregnant when you
Right.
guys were
So
trying
we're
to
just like,
conceive.
okay, let's try it. I think I'm ready. So I thought it was just gonna be easy peasy, right? Like,
Hmm.
okay.
Like, oh, you know what? My app says. Did you use an app to like
I
track?
used my app, yeah, because I would always track my periods because they were not regular
Uh huh.
either. So every time I would go to the doctor, I'm like, okay, they asked you when it was your last period. And,
Uh
well, it
huh.
was this day, okay. But yeah, I started, making sure I was, ovulating, and maybe it was just like I already had issues with my period, so
Mm.
they were not regular. So it was pretty hard to even track that
Mm.
for like the first month of actually trying to conceive. So after the first month, and I took a pregnancy test, not because I was feeling anything, it's just because I started to want it,
Mm.
and then it said negative. I'm like,
Mm. That was within the first month.
that was the first month, and I was like, dang.
Well, is that
Huh.
tiring?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, if we talk about the act of making love and sex and whatnot, it's like obviously we talk about pleasure and whatnot, but then when you're actually trying to conceive a child and make sure like to time it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from what I've seen in rom-coms, it's like, oh, I'm ovulating,
Yeah.
which again, I don't know really what that means, but it just, in the rom-coms, it's sort of like, all right, let's go do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, let's be quick about it.
Yeah.
And then, porque obviamente para el hombre, it's tiring at times. And I'm sure for you guys, it's also
very
tiring.
tiring.
Yeah. You're just like, get in there, do your thing, and then go if you need to go.
Yeah. And then after a few months, it started to feel a lot, especially on me, because I kind of felt like, hey, I'm ovulating. Let's try.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and it's harder because it feels like you're timing it. And then you're like, okay, well, it says that I'm ovulating, but nothing's happening. And that's when like you start to feel sad over it. And you start, when you're not happy, you start looking at things very negative. So it was very like, oh, well, other people have it so easy and they just have sex the first time and they get pregnant without wanting to. And over here, I'm wanting to, and it's been 3, 4, 5, 6 months and it's not happening.
What was Asa saying about all this? Or did he ever did he ever speak to you like, hey, I'm tired? Hey, was he more concerned about you? And like just cuando tú querías.
Yeah, he was just like, well, when it's your, it's up to you. It was always up to me when I wanted to start. But then he was also like, maybe, is it me? Because I'm like, well, maybe it's me because, I already had the issues before. Maybe my fibroids
so you guys
or
never
whatever.
Tested
No.
like him?
No, well, we did the count, like his sperm count, but it was fine. So I was like, maybe it's me. Or I don't know what's going on. So I talked to my doctor and also my OBGYN about the difficult time that I was having to get pregnant. And it also depends on your age. So she told me if you're getting closer to 30, you could see a specialist after 6 months of trying or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, I've been trying for, I think it was like 6, almost 7 months. And she set me an appointment up with the specialist. And it was going to be like $1,500 just for the consultation.
No manches,
because
insurance?
Insurance wouldn't cover it.
Oh my gosh.
So that put like, I got really sad over that. And I was just like that's just not even going to tell us anything. It's just like some blood work and just talking to the doctor. And I got really upset. I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should save a little bit. And then we'll try it after like the year of trying, because you never know. It could happen.
Did you ever consider, or was it ever presented to you, hey, you're getting closer to 30, freeze your eggs? No. That wasn't even in the picture for you.
No. Never really thought about that. And like now I hear it more. But at the time it wasn't like a...
Was there also a lot of pressure from family? Oye, ¿para cuándo los niños?
My mom never
Okay.
asked me like, hey, when you're having grandkids, I want grandkids. No, never. Not even his parents either. They were very great about that.
Or like that, maybe like that bothered you, because I'm sure so many women and I've been in rooms where I know the couple has been trying so long, and somebody makes the comment, when are y'all having kids? Or when do you plan to have kids? And I feel like now as we get older, that's one of those questions that like every couple is going through their own journey of trying to conceive. So maybe it's not a question you should be asking publicly.
I did get the question a few times, and especially since they're like, oh, it's Asa and Maritza who got married. They've known each other for so long. They were just like waiting for like the babies to just come. And I was like, no. And I was very upfront to people. I'm like, we're waiting. We're waiting. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but I know people come from a good place from it. It's not like they're trying to be like rude about it. So I sometimes just kind of took it like, well, we're waiting, and that's it. But I guess it just depends the way that you ask it. Because I remember somebody asked me like, well, when are you going to start a family? When are you going to become a family? And I'm like, I think me and Asela really are a family. Like, no, when you have kids, that's when you become a family. And that really took me like, I guess it rubbed me the wrong way. And that's when I was like, okay, like, no, I'm not going to let that get to me. But the way that they said it, it was just like,
Yeah.
not cool. But it was, maybe it's easier for other people, for certain people to get pregnant. I don't know what the reason is, but
Yeah.
yeah.
8 months of trying, you finally took a pregnancy test. What was that feeling like?
Ooh. It was scary. Even though like you want that, that's what you've been trying for the last, I don't know how many months, right? For it depends on everybody. And I took the test 3 weeks. So I was like supposedly 3 weeks pregnant. So it was like before even like I was supposed to have my period. Because I was already so far into, 8 months in, and that's not even a lot for some people. Some people try for like 3 years or more.
Wow.
And so 8 months is not that long for that. But I remember coming back from Vegas. We were in Vegas. We did a party over there, and I started noticing that I got heartburn, and I never would get heartburn. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm pregnant. You just start thinking, you start hoping and wishing. Yeah. And I remember coming home.
But do you become numb to the process, or like, oh, maybe, but all right, I'm just gonna take the test and.
Yeah, because I would take the test. I that does take a toll on you, because it's like you're setting yourself for failure. That's how I kind of felt. Like, why am I taking the test? But what if?
Yeah.
So I remember that. I'm like, you know what? If it doesn't happen, then I guess we're just gonna keep trying.
Yeah.
And I remember coming back from Vegas, and I didn't want to tell Asael. So I went to the bathroom, and I have, since we were trying for those 8 months, I bought a pack on Amazon of ovulation test and pregnancy test. So I already had some at home. So I was like, let me go. And then I remember seeing a very, very vague line, and I'm just like,
it was like a spark of hope.
Yes, because I'm like, I've always had like, no line, like super, negative, right? And then all of a sudden I see a super faint line. I'm like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
And I got super excited, very excited. And I was like, okay, I don't want to, tell anybody. And I went to the doctors, and that's when they confirmed that I was pregnant.
And did you tell Asa that day, or was it like a big reveal?
It wasn't a big reveal, because I was so excited. I just wanted to tell him. And I guess I'm not good at surprises, or like try to be like super cute and stuff like that. So I went to the doctor, and they told me, yeah, you are pregnant. So I went to, oh my gosh, what's that? That store in Rancho Cucamonga, right next to Victoria Gardens.
Ontario? No.
No, it's the, oh my God, it's my husband's favorite store, and I just can't think of.
Victor AMC.
No, that's the movie theaters. Now I wish he was here in the room so he could tell me what it is. But so I went to the store, and it's like for camping and like.
Oh, yes. I know which one. The fish store.
Yeah, the fish store. Yeah, I can't think of the name.
Yeah.
But he goes there often. But yeah. And I remember I went to go get a little shirt. That's that, so I could show him that we're gonna have a baby. And it took him a while to get it.
Oh, really? He's not like, what is this?
Because I put it in our room, and I thought he was just gonna see it right away, because we had a white bed cover and it was a black shirt. So I thought he would be like, what's that black shirt doing there?
Yeah, like, ay, déjalo reco.
Yeah, he went in.
¿No lo grabaste?
Yes, but he went into the room like 5 different times, and I was just like, no, what the heck? So I had to like go up to him and be like, hey, like we're pregnant. Yeah.
Oh my God, how was that moment?
It was nice.
You guys cry?
No, it was funny because he gave me like a high five. Oh, sorry, he gave me a high five. It was so hilarious.
And you're like that. That's
I'm just like, no.
I'd be a crier. I'd honestly be a crier.
Because he thought, because we were at my parents' house. We were living at my parents' house at the time. And he didn't want to like make a big commotion, because he didn't know if my parents knew or not.
Got you.
So he's like, yeah. High five.
Yeah. Oh my God. I would be hysterically screaming.
But he was like really excited. You could tell like in his eyes, he was just like really, like for like,
Yeah.
for real this time? Like, yeah, this time.
What was the hardest part about the first trimester? So the first 3
Everything.
months?
Everything.
Because I will never experience what it's like to be pregnant.
Exactly.
I will obviously when I have kids, I can only and every woman is different. But I'm sure there are some things that they don't prepare you for when you're pregnant, and there are some things they don't prepare you for motherhood.
Yeah.
So what didn't they prepare you for? What was like for your first trimester? Because those are the hardest 3 months, right?
Yes. So it's like first you're excited, like, oh, right, I'm pregnant. And then it's like you think about it, oh, now I have to make sure I'm able to keep the pregnancy because, there's women that do miscarry. And, that is something that women go through. I didn't go through that, but I did have a few scares. My first trimester was hard and I got really bad morning sickness, especially at like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. At night, it was really bad. At work, I couldn't pass by our lunch place where people would heat up their food. Oh my gosh, that was like the worst thing because
Really?
it's like really bad. Yeah. Y no quería comer. I lost a lot of weight in the first
Why?
trimester because of, throwing up, not wanting to eat much. I was eating a lot of fruits and soups and that would just go.
When did it like start getting better?
Um,
Like month or week?
like 10 weeks, almost like 3 months.
Okay, almost 3 months.
Yeah. But like it was good the first 6 weeks. I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy. And then like 7th week, it's just like, boom.
You're like, how? What do these women complain
My sister's
about?
like, oh no, I'm throwing up. I'm like, well, I feel fine.
Yeah.
6 weeks in. And it's like hilarious. Like the next day I'm like, oh, no, I couldn't. Sometimes I couldn't even make it to the bathroom.
Was there food that you craved during your pregnancy that you hated? No. Or was it something that you craved that you ever told Asa, like, Asa, in the middle of the night, I need this?
Not that bad. I didn't get like really, really bad cravings, but I would get emotional if I wouldn't get a specific thing. For example, I love Dairy Queen, and there was one right by my parents' house. And I would get, this is my go-to, even before pregnancy. Like, that was my go-to. I would chocolate ice cream cone dipped in chocolate with fries. With
Espérate
fries.
con
Yeah.
fries. Dang.
Yeah. So there was a night, I'm like, hey, let's go get some ice cream. And they didn't have chocolate ice cream. I was so sad. I cried. I'm like, is there another Dairy Queen around here? Because
in front of them?
No, not in front of them, but like in front of my husband. And I was just in the car and I'm like, I don't want anything anymore.
Like, it's just ice cream.
Yeah. But I was just like, let me try. He said, well, call another Dairy Queen. I guess he didn't chocolate ice cream and they didn't have it. So I was like, well, I don't want to. And then that was like the craziest, like, I guess, craving or like thing that I did.
After, obviously you said the trimester, things started to get easier. When did things start to get bad? Like, from good to like, hey, I'm scared.
Yeah.
And then obviously Valentina, premature baby, you were in the hospital for weeks, I remember. Yeah. And we were just worried for you because I think your way of coping with the situation was posting on social media, like your process, because I'm sure it gets lonely. And even though via social media, you felt some type of connection with the outside world.
Yeah.
When did things start getting a little bad?
So like in my first trimester, I was bleeding. And that's what I would get scared. I'm like, I'm probably miscarrying. So I felt like I didn't get to enjoy my pregnancy too much. I want to say I probably really enjoyed it for like 2 months.
Wow.
To be completely honest. We went to concerts and then of course the pandemic happened.
Es cierto. That made things worse.
So that made things worse on me because it was like the fear of the unknown of what's going on. Like, are we going to die? And why I'm bringing a child into this craziness and I don't even know what's going on. And it was at 27 weeks. That's when everything started to feel like it's going downhill.
That's a little bit more than halfway mark, right? Son 40 semanas. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it was 27 weeks. And I remember going to the hospital and I took the test to see if you have gestational diabetes. You take that nasty drink
Mm.
and you have to wait a while. And then they do the blood work to see if you do have it or not. And then I had um, a, an appointment with my doctor, and my husband wasn't able to be at these appointments. And so that was hard in itself. And I remember going to this specific appointment, and she's like, "Oh, your blood pressure is pretty high." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I just walked, and I'm pregnant, and I decided to take the stairs, So it's like, okay,
Healthy
well,
me.
yeah, we'll just wait a while." And at that time, I didn't have many appointments for ultrasounds because of the pandemic. I did have 2 appointments canceled. This was like the first time, after like 2 months of not seeing somebody. And I take, I have to, pee in a cup, and that's at every appointment just to make sure your protein levels are okay.
I didn't know that.
And I left my appointment, and I used to live really close to the hospital where I gave birth. And when I got home, I had like 5 missed calls of Asael and 2 from Kaiser.
Whoa.
And I was like, what's going on? And my husband's like, where are you? I'm like, I just got home. It's like, well, the doctor called me.
Wow.
And said, like, you have to go back. And I was like, oh, wait, they're calling me, and they're telling me, hey, we got your tests back, and you have high protein levels in your urine.
Okay.
And you have to go to labor and delivery.
Wait, how many weeks were you?
27 weeks.
27 weeks?
And I was just like, why? What's going on?
Is that 5 months? 6?
Oh, ya ni sé. No, I don't know.
Sé,
no
sé.
me acuerdo.
No te preocupes,
Yeah.
yo tampoco.
Yeah. And then I got nervous, and she's like, well, you have to come by yourself because pandemic, no dejaban a nadie entrar. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go because it's just going to be
in and out.
Quit in and out, right? So I was like, ¿Quieres que vaya contigo? I'm like, no, it's not bien, Mom. Just stay here. I'll go by myself. It's nothing.
Yeah.
I get there. They're like, oh, you're here because you have preeclampsia, because you're high blood pressure and you have high protein in your urine. I'm like, oh,
how does one even get high protein? ¿Nomás pasa o estás consumiendo cosas que no debes?
Probably it's a little bit of both, but I felt like I was trying my best. I wasn't eating out that much at that time because the pandemic. So I was eating a lot of home cooked meals, but I really don't know, to be honest. And I would like to see that for, maybe future pregnancies. But I got really scared because the first thing you think of preeclampsia, it's like, oh, I could die or the baby could die.
Oh, really?
It's very dangerous for both.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay. So we're just going to check on you for a little bit. So don't worry. It's going to take at least 2 hours so we can monitor you, make sure that you're okay. Well, at the time when they put the monitor, my baby's heart rate was slowing down. Yeah. And
you were going by this, like through this all by yourself.
And I was just like, well, what's going on? And nobody would really like tell me what was going on. And until one of the nurses came in, and she's like, honey, this is what's going to happen. You might give birth today.
At 27 weeks.
And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? It's like, when was the last time you had an ultrasound? I'm like, it's been 2 months. It's like, okay, we're going to do an ultrasound right now. And then they noticed that the baby was not growing, that she was not at the 27 week mark, that she was less. And I was just like, first the preeclampsia, and then now she's not growing, and her heart rate is slowing down. So I could give birth for this baby, and the first thing that came to mind, like, what if my baby doesn't live after this? Because 27 weeks, you just it's not a good chance, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm here by myself. So they're like, oh, you're gonna have to stay here for 24 hours just to monitor you to see if you have to give birth today. And that was very difficult. 24 hours by myself. Yeah.
And then, dang. And then after that, did you give birth?
No, I didn't give
That
birth at 27 weeks,
okay.
luckily. But they did tell me that after that, when I was at the hospital, they checked my um, the blood work when I took for for gestational diabetes, and I had that as
Wow.
well. And then they also told me that my baby had intestinal issues.
Wow.
And so there was just so many things that were just like thrown at me, and I was there by myself. And
Mm.
I had, call my mom and I called my husband, and I have to tell them, what's going on, and I might have to give birth today. They gave me steroid shots just to make sure that like her lungs were capable um
Yeah.
of birth
At
and
what? How
survival.
many weeks did you give birth?
I gave birth at 34 weeks.
So
6 weeks.
6 weeks after that whole issue, which is a
Or
better
so.
chance.
Yeah. But even some people say like it's
Worse?
worse chance when you're like 8 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what some people said.
Uh huh.
But um, I try not to hear
Yeah.
that, or I felt like Google was my best friend,
Mm-hmm.
but my worst enemy at the same time, because I would just like start Googling like, oh, what does this mean? And my baby's not growing. You just start listening to all these different scenarios.
When you gave birth,
Mm-hmm.
obviously it was lonely during the pandemic.
Yeah,
Um, how long did you have to stay in the hospital?
it was like a total of a month.
A month in
Mm-hmm.
the hospital, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody can visit you, only one person at a time?
It was just one person. So, like, yeah. If my husband was there, he wasn't able to come out of the hospital. And if he
Oh,
would come out of the hospital, he would have to wait 24 hours in order for him to come back. It was, weird policies,
so that
but
no, yeah,
yeah,
but I mean, it was lonely for
it was
you.
lonely.
Talk to us
Hmm.
about the postpartum depression, because I know that really hit you hard,
Hmm.
because obviously you put in postpartum, you put in a whole pandemic, you just gave birth. How often did you see your baby?
Hmm.
I'm sure that also changed with the pandemic.
Yeah, so I gave birth, um, and it was very different, right? Because they told me, okay, when you have your baby, your husband might not even be there, but luckily he was. They
Mm,
changed the policy the day before I gave birth,
wow.
and he was able to be at the C-section. And I was able to see her. I wasn't able to hold her because they took her directly to the NICU, just to make sure that everything was okay. So she was born 3 pounds,
Wow,
like
chiquita.
11 ounces, I think. And I was just like hoping that she was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like, oh, I was able to see her. So that was like a relief. But then it's like, oh, they had to take her away.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember being happy and being sad all at the same time. And just like being so like, wow, this miracle happened in front of me. Like an hour ago, I had no baby. And then now I just like a beautiful little girl that came out. And, you just start realizing how great, life is and how great God is. And, this little miracle that happened. And I remember going back to the room, and I felt like that's, um, maybe I had depression like probably during pregnancy just because of what everything was going on. But I remember going back into the room after being there, and the nurse comes in and she's like, "Oh, here's your pump, so you can
Oh,
start pumping." And I'm
yeah.
just like,
I don't even
"Oh
know
my
how.
gosh, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten since yesterday. Like I want food. I don't want to pump." And I know this sounds kind of funny, but I just felt like I wasn't ready for that. And then I just kind of felt like, hey, let me give a breather. I
Mm-hmm.
just gave birth. And then number two, like, I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
I'm giving birth at 36 weeks. My body's not ready. I had a C-section. And I felt, at that moment, I felt so lost.
Yeah.
And I felt,
And your mom wasn't even
I
there
wasn't
to
even
guide
there.
you, I guess. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of women have their Latina women
Mm-hmm.
have their mothers or suegras there to kind of help them guide through, like, oh, yeah, this is how you pump, or this is how you hold the baby, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
You had nurses,
Mm-hmm.
which are very unfamiliar faces. Yeah, veces, did they become kind of like family after a month?
Some of them, there's a lot that were going back and forth, and there was a few that I had for several days. But the one that I was working with at the time, it wasn't very like, hey, this is how you do it. It was just
Mm.
like, here. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know what to do. Like, I
YouTube.
didn't take any classes because of the pandemic. I didn't do anything, I was lost.
Mm.
So then my husband helped me because he was the one Googling like how to, do expressions and pumping.
Oh,
And
wow.
but I felt so tired. I'm like, I don't want to pump. Like, oh my gosh, I'm just like so sad. I wanted to make sure that my baby's okay. And that's when I started to feel like, "Ugh, I don't feel right. I don't feel good. I don't feel right." But I couldn't pinpoint what it was. And I was there in the hospital for 3 days after my C-section, and Valentina stayed there for another week in the NICU.
Mm.
And I remember going and wanting to be strong when I didn't need to be strong.
Mm.
Because after 3 days of the C-section, I walked from the parking structure of the hospital to the NICU without any assistance. And when I got there, I was about to pass out. Why? I don't know why I guess I wanted to prove something to somebody. I don't know.
You're like, I should have just took the wheelchair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should have. And when I was at the NICU, since I wasn't going that often because of my C-section and
Mm-hmm.
making sure I was okay, a specific nurse kind of made a comment of like, you're not coming that often to see your baby, and she's not, and then you're not bringing enough breast milk. And, you just start hearing all these like things that you're not doing right. And you just feel like even a worse mom because you're already feeling like crap.
Mm-hmm.
Or for me, I was feeling like crap. Then you're hearing other people acknowledging that you're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I lost it. And I was like, I'm a horrible mom. I can't even provide food to my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She needs it. She's only 3 pounds. And the fact that I couldn't provide enough milk really made me feel like less of a woman, less of a mom. Like maybe 3 years ago, like maybe I shouldn't have been a mom.
Mm.
And then that's when it started to come around for me to start feeling like, okay, I might need help.
You come home.
Mm-hmm.
You still are going through depression.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever contemplate suicide?
No.
Okay.
No, I never contemplated suicide. It was just more of like, why am I in this situation? Like I should have waited. Maybe it's the wrong time. Why am I feeling this way? It's because it's a lot. Like first, like your life is one way, and then all of a sudden you have this child that you have to take care of, and then, now I see her that she's only 3 pounds, and I just felt like she was just so weak, and I wanted to provide for her, and feeling like I couldn't.
Yeah.
And also feeling like I was one of the first ones of like certain like friend groups that I was the first one to have a baby.
So nobody else could help.
Mm-hmm. So not everybody would like understand what I was going through, and that was difficult too. But I think it was just more of like me not being able to provide. And then, people are like, oh, breast is best and formulas, you shouldn't. So all that just started to really like
weigh
me down and feel, I remember opening up to my dad. I'm like, Dad, I need help. Like I don't want to be a mom.
Wow. So you had Valentina and you said that after, I don't want to be a mom. Mm-hmm. How did that make you feel at the moment?
It made me feel horrible. I even think about it now and it just makes me want to cry. But because I would think about it. I'm like, I don't want to be a mom. Why am I doing this? Like, this is crazy. Like, and it was so tiring when you're a mom, like, or when you're a parent, because it probably I said to go through this too. But it's long nights. You're pumping every 2 hours, and when do you have time to sleep? Like, you don't have time to sleep. People are like, sleep when the baby sleeps. Well, I'm pumping when the baby sleeps. I'm eating when the baby sleeps, and when the baby wakes up, then it's the baby, right? So it's like this cycle. And I remember when it would come to like 8 p.m., I would just be like, oh my God, this is going to be the longest night. I don't want this night to come.
When did it start slowing down?
Like what?
Like the whole pumping, crying.
For me, after a month, I said I couldn't. I
Wow.
couldn't pump anymore. And it was a decision that I made.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my husband were not at the same for that.
He wanted like formula. I mean, pump,
Yeah.
and breast milk.
Yeah, which of course I understand because he wants the best, right? You know, people tell you like breast is best and this is what you should give. And especially because my baby was only 3 pounds. And of course, like you want the best for your child. But for me, it was like, I can't physically and mentally. I am drained. I cried every day. Like there was never a day that I would not cry. And I'm like, I'm going crazy. Like I need to do this for myself because I'm not being the best mom for my daughter. So the first thing that came to mind, like, okay, I'm already giving her formula, half and half, because when she was at the NICU, she would take formula because I couldn't produce the milk. And I'm like, what's so bad about that? I'm like, well, I'm formula fed. You know, I came out okay, you know.
Yeah.
But it really took a toll on me. And I was like, hey, I'm sorry, it's going to be about me right now.
And that's interesting that you took that decision after a month. Like it's going to be, I need to take care of me. Not a lot of women focus like on them. They always think of, you know, they have that mom guilt where like I should be choosing the child first over myself, over my own well-being. But at the end of the day, like that, I'm assuming it takes a toll on the child as well. And if you're not taking care of yourself, then like how long can you actually last with your sanity?
Yeah. Because I felt like at that time I was at a breaking point for me internally.
What was the breaking point? What would have been next after that breaking point for you?
I don't know. I don't know.
You never
thought about no. But and that's one thing I never thought about that. But it was just more of like I don't want to wake up and like deal with this.
Got you.
Or I wish my mom could just like take her and just like I don't want to deal with it.
Did you and Asa get into a lot of fights because of it?
I don't want to say fights, but it was just like
arguments,
like discussions and arguments over like, you know, he really wanted that, and of course like I wanted it too. Who doesn't want the best for their child? But I feel like this other option is also good. Well, I think it's good.
I mean, yeah. And also speaking about responsibility, like we grow up just being independent people and providing for ourselves, not having to take care of somebody else. And then when you get married, you're obviously looking out for the other person, but the other person's a whole ass adult that they can take care of themselves, right? So I'm assuming when you bring a whole child to the world, it's sort of like, well, no, they need all the guidance and they need everything from us. And that it's like you're giving your independence away to somebody else.
Definitely.
And I'm only relating it a little bit because I have a dog, even though it's not the same thing. But I think that's why I got a dog, to kind of see what that responsibility, like now I have to take care of somebody. Even with a puppy, I mean, I only had to deal with him for 2 months. Then he kind of is like independent on its own, and check on him ever so often, train him a little bit, but it's quicker. The process is way quicker than you're still having to educate now that she's about to turn 3.
Yeah.
So, wow. What did you get therapy?
Yes. And I was already going to therapy during the pandemic because of my anxiety was really high. And I think that's when like also my depression started to go into that as well. But I canceled my appointment because I gave birth that day when I was supposed to have my appointment. And then I just never called. Went back and called. And I was like, I need this therapy. I know therapy helps, and it has helped me a lot. So I went back and I said, I am feeling this way. I'm sad. I'm crying every day. I don't want to be a mom. I was wishing that I didn't make this decision. And I went back to therapy.
How long after therapy did things start getting better?
It took a while, to be honest, because it's a lot of course, it's internal. You're going through things, and I feel like I just started to feel better.
Right now. Wow, 3 years later. Wow.
Yeah, because if there's different stages, like you're going through the newborn stage and that's really hard, but every stage is hard. There's
Then
always something that's,
she starts walking.
she starts walking, she's eating solids and, there's, different things. But I feel like now I'm starting to feel better.
Wow. Very interesting that, it's definitely a process. I'm glad therapy has helped you out through that.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that I wanted to ask you. After 3 years of this, are you ready to have another child?
It's hard, but I think I am. But I think it's more of like, it's a hard decision to make because I know this time around I'm going to be a high risk pregnancy because of all the risks that I had. My first round, my first time of having a baby. And then I did have a procedure done a year after giving birth where they took out 10 fibroids, the biggest one being 10 centimeters big. And so because of that, I have to give birth at around like 37 weeks. So that's what the surgeon told me, right? And because I already had preeclampsia, my first pregnancy, I already had gestational diabetes. So I'm going to be a high risk pregnancy. So thinking about, I'm already going to be going into that right away and all the things that I went through the first time around, it's a difficult decision to make.
Yeah, but it's one that you're ready to kind of take on and start planning, I guess.
Yeah.
Was there any outside noise from society, from your parents, or like, why is she taking it so hard? Was there any mom guilt, like from your, like, everybody's judging me, I'm a horrible mother?
Yeah, because I would see like my mom, she has helped me so much, and I never saw anybody help her out. So I felt like if my mom could do it, why can't I do it? Like she did it so well, and she like was there for us. She put herself last. Like it was us that we were first for her. And when I started noticing that I wasn't becoming my mom, I became I got really sad. And I think that's what also kind of triggered me feeling the mom guilt because I wasn't my mom.
Yeah. So this podcast is obviously named Échale Podcast. And more than like, oh, échale ganas a ser mamá, échale ganas a la vida. What do you want to put out into the world as a mother for Valentina?
As in, like, which way?
Like, or just in general, what would you like? What would your paw print be in this world? We know it's Valentina, but what would you like her to grow up with? ¿Qué enseñanzas? ¿Qué valores? Más bien, ¿qué mensaje? What message do you have for Valentina? So when she listens to this podcast 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now.
Oh, that's hard.
It is.
That's really hard. But I think it's just like listen to yourself and forget what other people are saying. Because you're the only one who's able to make those decisions for yourself. Your body, what you want to do in life. Who cares of what other people think? And I'm not going to make myself feel small for others to feel comfortable. Like I need to feel comfortable myself. So if I feel that for me, I rather, give formula, or I rather have my self-care or whatever it may be, but, put yourself first and it's okay.
You heard that, Valentina? You're hearing this, maybe you're 15, 20, 25, 30, I don't know. Your mom said, put yourself first.
Yeah.
Maritza, thank you so much for your time here. Please let everybody know where they can find you on social media. I know you're doing a lot of stuff with like Disney, so definitely a lot of mommy stuff. So if any newborn mom, or if you have questions about motherhood, definitely reach out to Maritza. Please let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at my blog, which is mitsydays.com. And then Instagram at mitsydays.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. At Mitzi Days. Thank you so much, Maritza. This was Échale Podcast. Whoa. The video isn't done yet. You still haven't subscribed. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Échale Podcast.